because she went through the same procedure. So in the eyes of the committee, she cannot say that she is not aware. You see, let us be very fair to her, very fair to the committee. The committee is made up of two of her peers.
Yeah.
Two of her peers. And they are supposed to be some of the best brains we have. Justice Puaman and Justice Asiedu, they are supposed to be very good judges. If you read their profile, and sometimes when you read their judgments, you marvel. They are supposed to be her peers. So, and also the other three on the committee are also persons that at least one of them that we know, Domelevo, is also somebody of is a fighter for good things to be done in this country. So let's be fair to them that they have looked at what she has presented and look at all the answers she has given them to say that what you've done is a misbehavior. Because
we are also told that they had to even peruse documents that were about 10,000 pages in terms of the documents that were presented to look at this matter and other things. But then the big question a lot of people are asking is, what happens to the CJ now? She's been removed as Chief Justice, but is that all? That is all. She goes home. That's all. Can she still be a judge? No, she cannot be a judge. You see, when you look at, let me take you to history. When the Ghana Bar Association filed a writ against Justice Aban for his removal, the Venerable Justice Kpega, in one of his very fine rulings, said the real intent of the petition is to remove Aban as a Chief Justice and his consequence as a Justice of the Supreme Court. Now, she's been removed as a Justice or as a Chief Justice based on stated misbehavior. Do you think we can have a situation where somebody who is removed as a Justice as a Chief Justice stated misbehavior? In any case, let me do this analogy. You know, currently we have the senior most judge, by virtue of law, operation of law, acting as the acting CJ. Right. Now, let's assume that Justice Tokono goes back to the bench. Then the CJ, who is the proper CJ, by any means, either travel, illness, suspension, anything, is not able to perform his duties. Then she becomes the senior most judge. So by operation of law, she becomes an acting Chief Justice. Does it not make nonsense of the whole process? You were removed as a Chief Justice, then you come back and become an acting Chief Justice. It doesn't make sense. I don't think that will be the intention of the framers of the Constitution. Right. So there is no way. So she is gone. It's fair accompli. Nothing else will be done to bring her back. So maybe it's absolutely over for her. It's over for her. Maybe she might remove all her gown and say, I'm going to practice as a lawyer. Because we have seen judges removed in the Anas case and they are practicing as lawyers. Maybe if she has the ability. Or maybe she will be a consultant somewhere. But going back to the Supreme Court is a no-no. Quite interesting. And I remember asking Felix this question. He says it will rather lie in the bosom of the judiciary in terms of what this means for public trust and how then, if we are saying that per the committee's work, the Chief Justice clearly engaged in misbehavior, it affects public confidence there in the judiciary. How then can we bolster public confidence in the judiciary? I think that when you have a rotten tooth and it's removed, I mean, you have confidence in the rest of your teeth to be able to chew meat. So I don't see how that will affect confidence in the judiciary. Right. It only goes to say that when one of us misbehaves, we are able to remove him or her. Or when one of us misbehaves, he or she will be removed. So when you, the ordinary person, you misbehave, you are likely to be removed and dealt with as well. So for me, this removal, again, I told you that it's a constitutional thing for which we all need to learn. And we are going to read about this in years to come. Much as the work of the committee was held in camera, I don't know if there's the need or there's a way for all of us to have access to whatever went into the committee's work. But that would help because that especially when there's a lot of political talk about this happening. The Chief Justice was not appointed because she's a medical doctor. Was not appointed by a medical doctor or
a draftsman somewhere. She was appointed by a politician. She's in a political space. Much as she's even an arm of the government, a separate arm of the government, it's a political position. Let's say, let's be honest, she was appointed by a politician. So her removal, the Constitution made it clear that it's only a politician that will remove her. The Constitution didn't say American doctor will remove her. No, the Constitution didn't say that. It said the president, who is a politician. The Constitution didn't say that for a drama queen or somebody will remove her. No. So those who are saying it is shrouded in politics, etc., come on, how was she nominated? How was she vetted? All political processes that she went through for her to get where she is. So let us be serious here. Okay. It is not about, I mean, you can't separate law from politics. Neither can you separate politics from law. So let's give ourselves a break. I told someone that tonight, a lot of people are in shock. Let day break. As we say, the thing will come out for their eye. If the thing come out for their eye and they are seeing clearly now, then they will say, hey, a good decision was taken. Let's move on.
Okay, so you're a lawyer yourself, and so what lessons can we draw from what has happened today? Very historic. We've never seen this happen in terms of the removal of a Chief Justice. So what lessons can we draw from that? One,
when you are appointed as a Chief Justice, take it like you are walking on eggshells. Be above reproach. Because as I told you, the qualifications for being a Chief Justice are a person of high moral character and integrity. So you need to display that at all times. You must work without fear or favor. You must be somebody. You see, there's one thing that we should pay attention to. The Association of Magistrates and Judges did not issue a single statement in support or against the whole process.
It was just the Ghana Bar Association.
Yes. Then, if you look at travel expenses, etc., the Daniel Ofori you are talking about is not a member of the Judicial Service of Ghana. Somebody in there might have given some of this information to Daniel Ofori. So it means, therefore, that the people she superintended over might not necessarily be happy with the way she carried herself. That's why they were able to give some of these things out. So I want to plead with whoever will become the next Chief Justice that the world is changing. The idea that I am the one, I've arrived, everybody should kowtow before me. Carry everyone with you when you are dealing as the administrative head of the judiciary in Ghana.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Counsel, thank you so much for helping us appreciate this particular development. Theophilus Jimega is a private legal practitioner breaking down the communication we saw from the presidency today on the issues relating to the Chief Justice, now former Chief Justice Gertrude Araba Isaba Saki Tokono. Like I said, today we'll also be touching base with our team in Aquatia. But the next conversation we are having on the show today has to do with the Bawumia campaign. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, as you might have heard, is still rallying. He's filed, and on the 31st of January 2026, the NPP would make that decision because the clock is ticking. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Looking for a smarter, more secure and eco-friendly way to stay connected? Well, it's time to live seamlessly with MTN's eSIM. Enjoy the ultimate convenience of multiple numbers on one phone, switching seamlessly without swapping SIM cards. And the good news is that you can activate it instantly from your home on My MTN app. You can now experience enhanced security with an embedded eSIM that cannot be stolen or damaged. Plus, you get to also play your part and contribute into a greener planet. Dial *#06# to check the eligibility of your phone to download My MTN app and go seamless with MTN eSIM today. If you have more inquiries, just call 100 or contact MTN on any of their digital channels. So now we are zooming into the conversation regarding the new patriotic party. Like I said earlier, the clock is ticking, and so on the 31st of January next year, they will be electing a flag bearer. We have, some people say there are three who are in the front, who are the front runners. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, Kennedy Ohene Japong, and then Dr. Brian Echampong. A lot is happening. But tonight we're talking about the campaign of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia and also the new trend in town, Akadna Impe. Where is the nine? Which nine? Who's nine? Like, we'll get to understand that. So Dr. Ekua Amoakoh is joining me. She is Deputy Spokesperson for Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia to help us appreciate the campaign, where it's headed, and exactly why they continue to believe that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia should be the one to lead the NPP going into the 2028 general elections. Doc, welcome.
Thank you, Joshua. How are you?
It's nice to see you after 9 p.m.
After hours, yes. I'm happy to be here. I just said earlier how I love the whole arrangement. Yeah,
absolutely. You're welcome. Thank you. So, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has filed. And I remember when the forms were picked for him by the youth, I asked a very simple question. Why do the youth feel Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia is the one that can champion their cause, even though there are some who say that he's failed the youth of the party?
Oh, okay. So when I hear people use that word failed, I try to understand it. So I'd ask you the same thing. What do they mean by failed the youth of the party?
He could not deliver victory for the NPP in the last election, and that was the primary aim.
Yes, so I can imagine how, as a member of the party, one of the things that is very hurtful is to lose an election. And I don't think in that endeavor anybody feels the hurts more than His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. It was a charge he led, a charge that we all led, but unfortunately things didn't go our way. The only thing I would have to say to that, because I was thinking about, the people have consistently tried to make the conversation about you lost, so don't come again, you lost, so don't come again. And I was thinking, can we just imagine the caliber and the character of leaders the world would have missed if a prior failure was a disqualification factor? Can we just imagine even in this country, the number of leaders, good leaders we wouldn't have if the fact that you failed once was a disqualification for you? His Excellency John Ajikwu Mkufo, one of the most revered presidents of our party, indeed failed once and then came again. So if you look at it like that, it doesn't really, I don't think that's the conversation that the youth of the party are interested in. Today I brought our manifesto for 2024, and it's right here. I'm sure I'll leave it for you today. The youth of the party are more interested in who can bring positive change as president. The youth of the party are more interested in who can actually be a good president for us. We are not just looking for a flag bearer. And it is very clear to all of us that there's only one person that embodies all of that. When you look at what he was even able to achieve as just vice president. I don't want to say just vice president, but just what he was able to achieve in his capacity as vice president. We can only hope and we can only dream about what's in the pipeline. And especially for someone that, I spoke on the manifesto, so I had to read this book as a Bible. So I remember there was one morning right here when Lily was asking me about my thoughts on this whole thing before I got this position. And I was telling her that based on my work here and the information I got from his plan for Ghana, even if he decided not to contest, I would go with my family to beg him to. And I can imagine that that's the same zeal and that's the same motivation that carried the youth organizers, 490 of them. It was no small feat. We have about 520, 530, if I'm not wrong. And to get such a huge number to come of their own free volition to do that just shows their vote of confidence, the amount of confidence they have in the vision of His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. So,
because for young people, one of the major concerns is job creation. And I've heard some contenders in the race also say, well, let Dr. Bawumia show us what he's done. For instance, Kede Japan says, well, I've created jobs. My track record is there. Where's Dr. Bawumia's track record when it comes to job creation? For which reason the youth should have faith in him?
Again, I think that's a very simplistic argument, and it's understandable because as opponents, I can imagine how they're having a very hard time finding arguments that they would succeed at. So it will go that way. But let me prove to you that this is a very flawed line of argument. Again, isn't this the first time this is coming up? When has any presidential candidate been asked that, how many jobs have you personally created? We are going to elect a president, a leader of the entire country. Your job is to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive so that jobs then come from there. So let me take you straight into Dr. Bawumia's vision for creating jobs.
Okay.
It is multifactorial and it is very detailed. One of the reasons why I brought this book with me today, because I didn't want to miss anything at all. So the whole vision, and as we continue to talk, I think it will become clearer to a lot of things that he even started to do as vice president. It all merges together. The whole vision is to create high quality jobs, high paying jobs that would raise the standard of living of Ghanaians. The one thing I always say is that when people want to migrate and leave Ghana, it's not necessarily because when they get to wherever they want to migrate to, they are essentially going to be millionaires. I don't think that's the case. It is just chasing a better quality of life. And how has that been built over the years? Through deliberately altering the systems so that the whole standard of the system is a little raised. So the goal is to create high quality jobs. If it was as simple as opening factories, then indeed after our 8 years and opening about 160 factories to the 1D, 1F, we would still not have such a big problem with unemployment. So it is about creating good quality jobs, number one, like what he wanted to do with this whole digital transformation. If you look at the direction that the world is going in, it is very, very clear it is going that way. People call it the fourth industrial revolution and whatnot. You don't even need to be an expert in those kind of things to see that that is where the world is going. We all have so many devices on this table. That alone should tell you something. And even when you take the list of the top 10 most, the top 10 companies with the highest worth, you would see that about 80% of them are in the IT world. So he was like, this is something we can tap into. We have a very large industrious pool of young people who are very resourceful. They can be trained in these things. There was a research done some time ago estimating the need for workers in IT, the numbers, and it was millions, running into millions of people that are required to fill up these roles. One thing that we missed is we haven't positioned ourselves to be able to benefit from that stream. So he was planning on setting up the fintech fund so that after we've trained so many of our youth in IT and now they have very employable skills, they have access to funding so that startup culture starts up. You know, it's something similar that happened in Kenya and now they have quite a few startups. Right. So something like that. You give them the training, you have a fund, there were going to be R&D labs, you know, a very deliberate effort by government to create that kind of ecosystem here so that, you know, we get lucky or with enough training and dedication, we create a unicorn like Facebook or like WhatsApp, and then you can just imagine the number of high quality, high paying jobs that is going to create. Even if you are, like you are even a cleaner at Facebook, you can just imagine the benefits. That's a high quality job. You would not be treated like maybe a YEA. The earning capacity of you would not be like a YEA employee. So that was the thinking. That's just one sector. Right. There's a plan for job creation across every sector. Today, just going through the book, I also saw something that's very important and on his part, a big part of our agenda, which was to be able to offset about 3% of our GDP, which represents about 30 billion, and give that to the private sector. So imagine the problems we have now with completing building projects, completing schools, all of that goes on. So one of his marvelous ideas was to take that away and give those contracts to the private sector. So they build the school, we lease it from them, the government, leases it from them, and is paid a little and spread over time. That will immediately free up so much money from our budgets, and then gives a lot of revenue to the private sector to also go on. So there you've also created millions of jobs, because people will have to put together those buildings. Architects will have to design that. So with just two of the policies that I've discussed, you can see how that outweighs even having 10 steel plants. So I think the conversation has to be elevated beyond that. It is about a leader who is looking at the big picture of the country, very cognizant with where we are as a country and what is needed to be done for us to move forward. And I think the youth of the party are very clear in their minds who provides that, and who has always been a champion of that. We can't even go far. People have already started to benefit from. Look at the mobile money ecosystem that has quickly boomed. It had started before him, but we cannot neglect the fact that this interoperability has created more avenues. I don't remember last time I went to the bank, because it's so simple. You can move the money from your bank to your Momo, go to a vendor. These are practical things that affect the life of every Ghanaian. If in 2025, having growth in a country was as simple as building factories, dare I say, we would have already achieved that.
You talk about all these ideas, and indeed, the ones you mentioned are captured in the manifesto, that if Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had won the elections in 2025, perhaps we'd start seeing these things taken up now. Yeah. But then some of your competitors say, well, they are just ideas. I mean, we've not seen any commitment whatsoever, because when he was vice president, he could have, implemented these ideas, or even talked to his boss about these ideas for these ideas to be implemented. How come that was not done? And so why should Dr. Bawumia be given the nod now when he's still championing these ideas?
So I would answer your question, but I will first ask a question. Now in 2025, we're in September. His Excellency, the President, has just executed a judicial coup. Do you hear anybody mentioning his Vice President?
Judicial coup, you call it?
We'll come to that, I'm sure. But let my words slide. Do you hear anybody mentioning Her Excellency Jane Nana?
No.
When was the last time you heard anybody say John Mahama Jane Nana administration? It just goes to show you the formidability of the person we had as vice president in the last 8 years. It was never a thing. I don't remember anybody saying J.J. Rawlings Atta Mills or President Kufuor Aliyu Mahama. It wasn't a thing, because there's a clear delineation between the two roles. And that's in no way trying to run away from that. No, he was...
Because that's what you've been accused of.
Oh, that's not true. So that's why I'm also going to come there. It's in no way doing that. That's just, we're in an election period, so opponents will be opponents. That's absolutely... But that's not the truth. But we cannot also pretend like the two roles are the same, or that he was actually president. In his capacity as vice president, indeed, there was a lot that he proposed to his boss, and he's very grateful for the opportunity his boss gave him to actually contribute to the growth of the country. And all those things that he spearheaded, we've listed that, and it was started. And you remember when I started this conversation, I said after we talk, a lot of things will connect. The Ghana card was one of the first things he was very interested in doing. Why? Because it's the base of all these things he wants to do. Making sure that we have absolute financial inclusion was one of the pillars that had to be set. And that was also done with the mobile money interoperability. And right now, I think financial inclusion in this country is about 90% because of all the people using Momo. So these were all pillars that had to be built before coming to a point where this is my comprehensive vision for Ghana. And so if he hasn't had that opportunity to execute his comprehensive vision for Ghana, that argument is moot. Just because of what I said, we are not asking Her Excellency Jane Nana why the Chief Justice has been removed. Everybody is mentioning His Excellency John Mahama's name because, yes, the buck stops with him. So if you even try to make that argument and there was nothing in his repertoire as vice president, you would, make some headway there. But we can also clearly show several things that are key to his vision here that he was able to execute before leaving office as vice president. So to me, it's a question that comes from various sections of opponents, and you can understand where they are coming from. They are essentially wanting to take his place, so you can't expect them to be too kind with their words.
Is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia worried about, or is he scared about the party's unity after this election? Because the last time I heard from him was when he was also talking about the fact that, well, the trajectory in which the campaigns are going, they are problematic, because we have people now not just sticking to what they can do or telling the people their message, but getting into tribalism, sometimes religion and all of that, and he feels it's troubling. Is he worried the party, even if he gets to win, might not be able to unite?
So, yes, there is a worry about unity going forward. But, if you are familiar with the history of the MPP, one of our problems is this kind of thing. Whenever it gets to a
heated contest,
very, very heated internal contest. When I was working on the Constitutional Amendment Committee, I came into some documents where one of our very renowned General Secretaries, Darocha, had written a really long speech that he was going to present to the National Council, and this was in '92. And he was talking about the same matter, acrimonious internal election. It looks to be something that has sort of been part of the New Patriotic Party. But, in the past, there was no social media. Evidence wasn't so rampant. You just meet a group of people, tell them what you want to tell them, and it's gone. But now there's a lot of evidence.
And so many receipts.
So many receipts. So I'm hoping that we become more responsible to the party, because that's, in the end, we all are followers of the great elephants. We're all children of the elephant. So we become more, more aware of our surroundings to know that, no, now times have changed. We can't continue to do things the way we used to do it. We have to be a little more responsible, because at this point, even though it's an internal election, all eyes are on us. And everything we say can and will be used against us moving forward. But I mean, it's not too much of a problem. You see, when we started this conversation, one thing I said was that there are deliberate attempts to reduce the conversation to things that to me are quite irrelevant. Because if you want to make this conversation about where somebody is from, to me, it's quite irrelevant. It does not, to a Ghanaian outside, to a young person who wants to have some hope and vision in the country Ghana, it is completely irrelevant. It doesn't put food on their table.
I've had guests from your party sit in the seat there and say that Dr. Bawumia benefited from this same line of campaigning. So why is he complaining
How would
now?
they say, what would you mean benefits? And this is always my retorts to them. I am half Akan and a little Dagati. If for any reason I want to contest somewhere in Akan land, I will go and identify myself to them as one of them. It's part of politics. Everybody does that. So to create an impression that there's been an extra benefit from that, again, to me, it doesn't hold any water. It is just because this time Dr. Bawumia is from a minority tribe, so it's being highlighted. If he was a Christian and he was going to church to seek their vote, would that be considered religious baiting? If he was Ashanti and he went to Kumasi and said, was identifying with the people there and asking for their votes, would that be tribal politics? They are very different things. That is me saying that I identify, I'm one of you. It's even happening in Aquatia right now. Everybody who enters the game of politics uses that tool from time to time. It's very different from coming to tell people that this person cannot lead us because the person is from here. That is what is called tribal bigotry. Trying to exclude people from leadership because of where they are from. This is something they have no control over. I don't think anybody chooses where to be born. It's something that you have absolutely no control over. And so that is why, as a nation, as a society, as a people, we've decided that it's not right to discriminate on those terms. It's very different from the earlier scenario that I put out. Then people went even as far as to use the conflict, which to me was just, I can't find a word for that. I thought it was just completely inappropriate, because this is a very serious matter. As a country, We obviously have not been able to come to terms about how to solve this matter. People are dying every day. We see terrible images coming out of the Boko area. Sometimes it's even children that have lost their lives. It is nothing to play politics with. And that is even if the matter was true, and it is so far from the truth. As far back as 2016, there are press releases from one of the factions at that point accusing the then president, who was now coming in, His Excellency Nanado, over supposedly picking sides in the faction and whatnot.
Yeah.
You can go back to before in His Excellency President Kofo's time, and there was something there that politicians were also drawn in. So to create the impression that now, because the candidate is a Northerner, not even from Boko, it is something that will affect us, and so do not vote for him. I mean, to me, using the deaths of innocents on this tangent is completely unacceptable. And I feel like all of this, the conversation is always driven into this side because there's a clear lack of messaging on the other side. You know, how would you...
They're lacking messaging? That's why they're resting on this?
Why else? You know, if we
Because, for instance, we've heard from some camps that say that, well, we're just saying the truth. There's nothing wrong with the truth.
Listen, if we are talking about who is going to lead the country, we are talking about who is going to be the president, who is going to lead the growth of Ghana. Shouldn't the discussions be about capability? Shouldn't the discussions be about what you plan to do for Ghanaians? Me personally, as a young person, all the conversations I have with other young people, that seems to be what they have on their mind, not these things, which I've already demonstrated that it's something that the party, all political parties have had to deal with for some time, because this conflict existed before His Excellency Dr. Bawumia was born. If we continue to play with it like this, we might all die and go, and it will still be there. So it's not a factor, even if you wanted to go along the I'm just saying the truth kind of thing. So we are all hoping as children of the MPP that as we move on, the conversation about the campaign becomes what Ghanaians know us for. A competition of ideas. Okay, so this is how I want to do things. I think it's superior to yours, and therefore I want to be president. You know, we would have had a very nice chat, or like
that is so idealistic.
Yeah, it's very idealistic. But you know, I feel like that is what would bring the best out of us. Right. I don't think anybody cares about this. Quite honestly, you know, it makes for good. It's hysteria. It makes for good propaganda. People talk about it and things, but there's no proper value in that. And so, to me, I would, again, like to move away from that. And the facts do not even back that kind of argument. There's been another thing said about his own people didn't vote for him.
Yeah.
He's from Northeast. We can go and check the data from Northeast. You see, what happened in our election last year in 2024, which most people know and agree, was that, you know, even around the world, even the Conservatives in the UK, they suffered a terrible defeat in 2024. In fact, of all the governments around the world that were put up for election in 2024, most of them lost. About 80 to 90% of the sitting governments lost elections last year. One might ask, why? What was the factor that affected all of this? It's because we had like a global economic shock crisis. There was suffering in the whole world. And usually when that kind of thing happens, the populace or people find it necessary to find someone to blame. Usually it's the government, which is understandable, because if it was good, they would have taken credit for it as well. So we take that responsibility. It's fine. So we all know the main reason for the defeat. And so to now focus on tangentials, to me, it's neither here nor there.
Is that what the report says, that you lost because of the global issues?
The economic hardships. I think it's been repeated by the General Secretary, it's been repeated by so many other people, that about 80%, the main factor that contributed to the defeat last year was
the arrogance of power?
Oh, other factors. But the main issue, about 80%, was attributed to the crisis that we had. So very far from whether the candidate was Muslim, very far from whether he's a Mamprusi, you know, all not really what is important. That wasn't it at all. So to apportion blame like that, again, it doesn't bode well, because if we want to sit at this table and apportion blame, trust me, everybody will get some.
Get his fair share.
Yes, and I think it's known that I mean I don't shy away from calling it out when it's due, but I don't want to use this platform for that, just because I think there's so much more to talk about why Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is the best for the MPP, why he's our most formidable asset. It's clear, and we've broken them down into 3 broad things. It's very clear that he's the most prepared person. He has been...
when you say prepared, what do you mean?
Yes. He has been running mates, touring around the whole country since 2008 with his boss, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He has met we're talking about delegates election here, so it's a home match.
Yeah.
He has met all of them. He has been in the trenches with all of them, campaigned with all of them since 2008, and has been able to fully grasp the dynamics of the party grassroots. That is clear. Nobody's more prepared. Then you come into his record as being vice president. He had 8 years to really understand the governance of this country. And even if you look at that record, in the first 4 or 5 years before COVID hit, the country was really on an up and up. And I don't think anybody would dispute that. All our economic indicators were on an up and up. Everything was okay. But then we had a problem, and then he quickly had to innovate to be able to help us to get out of that. And then I think it has become clear. I even saw that Bank of Ghana issued a statement and had to quickly delete it because they went somewhere, I think in London, and they had to admit how the country had been able to recover from everything that happened. And so the deputy governor was very honest. We appreciate his honesty. And he was very honest to talk about how the idea to back the entire economy with some commodity, in our case gold, and then the gold for oil and the gold coin and all of that, how they played a very significant role in the recovery. So what this shows you is that you cannot, as a leader, you cannot foresee everything good or bad. You cannot make sure that there will never be any bad. But how you measure a good leader is what they do when there's a problem. When there was a problem, our leader evolved. He sat down. He didn't sit aloof. He thought about how to get us out of that. And it was put in place. And then now we are on a path to recovery. So this demonstrates how prepared he is for the job moving forward.
Right.
Everything we've spoken about here also demonstrates how formidable he is. He's the most formidable asset the MPP has, and that is very clear. As far back as 2020, the MPP were calling the NDC were calling the former MPP administration Nana Addo Bawumia government. There was even a whole social media campaign engineered with several funds. I don't even want to mention I don't want to imagine how much money could have gone into that to engineer a tag to smear his good character. All of this was done because it was very clear to even our main opponents who was in pole position, who the most formidable person in the MPP was. And so that is not disputable. The primaries have started. Again, you can see that when His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia talks, he's talking about his vision. He's talking about why he's best fit to lead the country. But when the others talk, they are talking about him. That demonstrates formidability, and I don't think anyone can take that away from him, that if you look into the MPP today, the person who is most prepared and most formidable is Dr. Bawumia. And all of this makes exactly what the grassroots are looking for, somebody that can win us power. So if you look at everybody that has been able to submit their nominations for flag bearership of the party, it is clear that there's only one person that is winnable for us. One person will be our surest bet to be able to come back into office to serve the good people of Ghana.
Quite interesting there. But now, the new tag, Akanaimpe. Doc, what's that about?
Joshua.
You know, the first time I saw that was when Miracles walked into our studio wearing a T-shirt with Akanaimpe. And unfortunately that day I had to rush out and attend to something, so I couldn't ask
him about
Miracles,
it.
what is Akanaimpe? So when I knew you were coming here today, I couldn't just wait to ask what that is all about.
Yeah, so, you know, this Akanaimpe slogan is actually originated from our party grassroots. You know, we've been meeting them and all of that, and it's something that came from them. Like, let me just use a little tree here. We are talking to them, and said you know. So it was something that came out of interactions with our party grassroots. It's something that is specific to our internal election. I think that's what maybe a miscommunication. People are relating it to the NDC. So if you say that, that means that the NDC also has no. this is about our primaries, the election we're having on January 31st. And the rave among the delegates is that amongst all the candidates, we've tested this person. We know his vision. We know his character. When you put all of that aside, we've sent him on to the election once, and he was able to get close to 42%. So why not continue with that? Because what that demonstrates is that he has about 42% of Ghanaians who believed in his vision, even in the very tough times that I just explained to you. Most people losing, most governments losing over the years, the economic hardships and everything that at the end of the 8-year cycle, 42% of Ghanaians still queued to vote for him. What that means is that they believed in his vision. And so we can very cautiously estimate that these 42 people would continue to believe in his vision. Meaning the task that is left for us as a party is to go out and try and get the other 9% of people who for one reason or the other were disillusioned with the MPP, were upset, and so stayed at home and did not want to vote for us. That is what we need to really work on while we consolidate the 42 that we had. So that's how the slogan came about. It came from the party grassroots and their own expression of the election that was this ahead of us.
42 and I 51. Which means elections not far.
You see, that was the thinking of the grassroots. Very simple. Right. It's not that say, oh, that means NDC needs to.
Because I was about asking that. Say I can't know for Dr. Bawumia. NDC are more. They had gone beyond the 50.
The truth is, even if we were incumbent, he was a certain president, then it would be quite dangerous to assume that, because once you get into presidency, once you get into government, then your goodwill starts going down. Even if you look at approval ratings across the country, the world, as soon as a president gets in, it's very hard for them to even stay low. It's just basically going to go down. So if you were in government and you were taking actions and inactions that would upset people, then you know it's going to go down. Right. So NDC is going to go down. After this judicial coup, it is gone down.
Now, talking about the judicial coup, I mean, you raised that, and we've had conversations. I've spoken to Felix Kwachofosu, I've spoken to Alhaji Nusaf Hussaini, and then Theophilus Jimega on the back of this. They say, well, this is rule of law. The president basically had nothing else to do after the committee had presented its work, looking at Article 1469. You call it a coup. How so?
The beginning. See, first, I've always said there's been a pattern. This is something they wanted to do before they came into government. They told us, we just thought they were joking, but they've proven to us that they don't joke with the things they say, except it's to better our lives or make sure that there are no new taxes or galamsey is solved. Those are the things they lie to us about and not do. But when it comes to the mafia that they plan to do, they usually execute it because they told us about this and we just didn't take it quite seriously. They said it. And when the whole thing started, there was a point at which the president had the discretion, because some of these petitions were brought before the former president, and indeed he didn't think they were worth the paper they were written on, and so they were aptly thrown out. So for a new government to come and suddenly it's a big issue and it has some merits, and we allow this to go through the whole process to get here, I mean, it is nothing short of a judicial coup. And people try to equate it to what happened with Charles Osei, and I always retort that it's never the same thing. That means you are undermining the whole process of our democracy, or you are displaying that it's not as important to you. For our democracy to work, the three arms have to survive. They have to exist. They have to have some semblance of independence. And so when the head of one arm removes the other under very fishy circumstances, because that's what has happened here. She has essentially been removed. The head of one of the arms of government has essentially been removed for traveling with relatives, essentially, isn't it? When the president, another head of another branch of the government, travels we see his son everywhere he goes to. He travels with whoever he wants to. That's not a problem. And this is not, I think we have to now go and do all of that analysis, hoping that we get what was actually in the paper that was presented to His Excellency John Mahama, to know what exactly went into it. Because I'm sure there's a lot of precedent of all the chief justices that came before. Were they allowed to travel with their family? I believe so. So it's as frivolous at best for the head of one of the arms of government to be removed over such bogus charges is something that should be worrying to all of us. I caught a little bit of the interview that happened before. Yeah. And he was trying to make it seem like it's not a big deal. The world will go on. Indeed, the world will go on. But what has happened now is a very huge fear has been instilled in our judiciary now, that if you don't toe the line, you can be removed. Even your boss has been removed.
Exactly. And so they also, the NDC or government also feels that, well, this shows that, well, we are not ready to shield wrong acts, irrespective of who is caught in the web. Because when you listen to the Paman Committee, they talk about the fact that, well, it was wanton dissipation of state funds, paying per diem to her spouse and her child on those trips.
There are instances where some of the judges had to return per diem after the Auditor General found out that there were some discrepancies. Were they removed? See, there's no way you can cut this. You can slice this for it to look diplomatic or honorable or the right thing to do. There's no way you can go about this. It's flimsy and frivolous on all levels. Just as I said, and there are other judges that's even lower, not the Chief Justice. They've had the Auditor General goes through the funds. It looks like some per diem was paid in excess or something like that. Fuel is paid in excess. And they are given the opportunity to pay the money back to the states. So even if this was an issue that you wanted to pursue, isn't the right course of action to let her refund whatever it is? Is this really ground for removal of one of the heads of our government? It just goes to undermine the whole judiciary, number one. And number two, I can tell you for a fact, this has put some serious fear into the hearts and minds of our judicial service. Because if you can see your boss, this happen to your boss, you know that, you are small fry. Anything can happen to you if you get a call from the Jubilee House and you don't toe the line. And that's very dangerous for our democracy. And to me, I find it, the NDC, they are very interesting people. With everything that is fresh on the minds of Ghanaians when it comes to, with regards to the NDC and the judiciary, I'm talking about the murders that happened under the tenure of the PNDC, is fresh in everybody's minds. And you want to do this again so that we can easily connect it to that you are the people that obviously have problems with the judiciary. Every time you come, you want to interfere. When His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo came into office, in 2017, in the first 8 months, we had started free SHS. By September this time, we had started free SHS. But His Excellency John Mahama wants to tell us that his priority in his first 8 months to the Ghanaian people is to remove the head of the Chief Justice. And I think we are all watching him keenly. We haven't seen any real growth. We haven't seen any promises kept. There was so much noise about galamsey, and it is obvious, it is in tatters. It is clear that they did not have any plan to handle galamsey because they haven't done anything new since they came. They've just been reshuffling the same terrible things that they accused us of when we were doing that it wasn't working. They are just reshuffling the same thing, going around, renaming things, arresting people that are let's go the next day, seizing excavators that are flying away. When we are not seeing any will from them. They were asking for a state of emergency. They were asking for a ban on all mining activities, which is something His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa did because he was serious about the fight. It's clear they are not serious. Now we have high senior ranking members of the NDC telling us that the anti-galamsey task force should be disbanded. I was very surprised when I saw that. We're in Aquatia campaigning, and it will surprise you that some of them are going around campaigning with galamsey. So this is obviously a government that
NDC functionaries are campaigning with galamsey. That what?
They are going to cancel the task force. If you go to a group of miners and you tell them that galamsey task force no more margin, so I think we should be cancelled. You don't think that's campaigning to them? We can only imagine what we didn't hear or what wasn't captured on video. And to me, the waters are not getting clearer. We are not seeing anything. In fact, we are seeing key functionaries fingered from day to day. So what it's all that this shows is that we were quite right when we said that we've tried our best at this galamsey fight over the 8 years. We've learned a lot of lessons. Let's come up with a new approach. Again, that is where His Excellency Dr. Bawumia came in. I know a lot of people, after listening to his plan on galamsey, thought it was one of the best, one of the wisest. At least it was something new. We've been trying this arrest thing for years, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And you can't do that in isolation and expect people to stop. You know, human beings are such that if you put money behind fire, and the money is a substantial amount, they will go through the fire to get it. So putting it under their feet under the threat of some arrest is really nothing. So he came to the conclusion that no, government has to be able to come up with a comprehensive plan that allows people to continue to earn their living from mining gold while preserving our forest reserves and then getting a lot from the whole gold ecosystem as a country, because we all know how interested he was in backing our city with commodities and whatnot. And so there was a nice laid out plan for that a lot of Ghanaians...
Different from what Goldboard is doing now?
Not just that. So his plan was quite comprehensive. First, one thing that was noted causing the problem was how people were just going around haphazardly mining. They have no idea where the gold is. They are just trying their luck. And so that causes a lot of problems, because they will come and dig a pit here, they don't get anything, they move on, and then the whole place is destroyed. That was one of the problems. How do you solve that? The government has to take that initiative to be able to do the prospecting, so that when you go to the Minerals Commission now, they're able to tell you that here you get about this quantity. The government has taken that responsibility. And so there are not going to be any prospecting licenses issued. Nobody's going to be doing prospecting. The second thing he was also going to do was try to make sure that the ecosystem is controlled by only Ghanaians, that when it comes to small scale, it is only Ghanaians. How do you achieve that? Because the main reason why the small-scale miners include the foreigners is because of funding. So there was going to be a special bank to be able to give them capital to do that. There was going to be a lot of training programs to help them. And so for the smaller groups, we were going to set up what we call common user facilities. Meaning, so if it's Aquatia, there's a lot of mining there, we set up a few common user facilities where after the gold is got, the washing process and everything that tends to have very tremendous effects on the environment is done at the common user facility with the mercury-free catcher and all of that. In a very controlled environment, you get your gold to be able to feed your family. The country gets the gold to be able to, for foreign exchange and everything we want to do it for, and the environment is kept clear. So when you look at all of this that he wanted to do and much more, settlement dams, it was comprehensive. If you look at everything that I've said, it just shows that everything is usually a web, because usually one solution will not solve everything. So it was like that. You put it in a whole ecosystem like that, and people will start to mine responsibly. And then you can add the law enforcement bits to the people that are still recalcitrant after all of this. But if you haven't done anything to make this thing easy for them, you can't have policemen everywhere. And the policemen are also human beings. Sometimes I understand them. You go, they show you $20,000. You've never seen some in your life. I mean, how many people will be able to say no to that? So it's a system that is a system of whack-a-mole. You will never be able to succeed. You hit this one today, another one will come from there. So again, this also goes to demonstrate how we need to try something new as a country. We cannot continue to run things on autopilot. And so that is why I believe that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's plan should see the light of day. Absolutely.
The bold ideas from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But let's talk about Aquatia briefly. Tomorrow, we're going to the polls there. The NDC says that, well, this is what will show you, the MPP, that indeed John Dramani Mahama has done work that has touched the hearts of Ghanaians.
What the work that you've done?
Stabilized the economy, brought the city to around 10 cities, now it's moving towards 12, among others.
That's all the work that we've done. And if we had time, we could even go into the nitty-gritties of that work to show that, anyway. I think the people of Aquatia are clear in their minds on who they want to back going into the election tomorrow. We are just hoping for peace and that there will be no disruptions. We know there's a big history of ballot snatching and all of that. The party has picked up a lot of intel for a lot of nefarious activities that the NDC has planned with regards to
intel.
Yes, and I think if you've been following it, I think even our national organizer and youth organizer have said a few things on that. So we are just hoping that now that they are in government, they live up to the responsibility that is on their shoulders and allow a free and fair election in Aquatia tomorrow. Because it's very clear that if the elections are free and fair, Aquatia will be blue tomorrow. And the security and everything, after everything that just happened in Ablekuma North, we are understandably quite jittery about everything and hoping that the police do not sleep on the job like they did. So we are all keeping our eyes open for tomorrow.
Doc, thank you so much for coming. Dr. Ekua Amoakoh is Deputy Spokesperson for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, telling us exactly why the delegates of the NPP should choose Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to lead them into the 2028 general elections, and why Ghanaians, when it comes to 2028, after they are able to successfully choose Dr. Bawumia, we should also choose Dr. Bawumia to lead the country going forward. But now, let's go straight to Aquatia. Right, so in less than 9 hours, over 50,000 electorate in Aquatia will be choosing a leader. Get to choose one who would replace NSD Alkumi. And will it be the MPP? Will it be the NDC? Will it be other persons? Well, we'll get to know shortly. But let's go straight to the grounds now and check out exactly what the atmosphere currently is like in Aquatia. Our man Ibrahim Al-Hassan, he's been in Aquatia for some days now. He's been studying the terrain and bringing us all those heated interviews there. Ibrahim is standing by. Ibrahim, talk to me. How is Aquatia shaping up ahead of tomorrow? Right, so we'll be getting back to Ibrahim there, but let's bring you some of the interviews the personalities we spoke to early in the day regarding the elections and the preparatory works being put in place ahead of that. Then we'll connect with Ibrahim and get to know exactly how things are shaping up as we speak. All right, there. So let's connect back to Ibrahim Al-Hassan in Aquatia and get to understand exactly how things are shaping up. Ibrahim, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a very long day for you in Aquatia, and it's going to be even longer tomorrow. But how is Aquatia shaping up tonight?
Well, initially I was alone. Now I have my backing vocalist. Of course, it tells you that Aquatia says it's not sleeping tonight until tomorrow, 7 a.m., when they make their way to the polling stations to exercise their franchise. So you asked another question as to how Aquatia is. Aquatia has been buzzing. The numbers here have increased, of course, because of the interest relative to the by-election. Again, the numbers here have increased as a result of the over 5,000 police officers who have been deployed to ensure that there is maximum security for tomorrow's exercise. And in fact, I can tell you this, that it's not only the men in blue here, the men in green are equally here, and I'm talking about the military, who are on standby. You won't see them tomorrow at the polling stations. But if anything goes wrong, what we gather is that they are at hand to be called upon to intervene. So with security, that is what we can report. But when you move away from security and come to the political parties, I can tell you that the convention that always ensures that a day before the election, there is no campaign has been flouted frequently. But of course, like I said, it's the convention. So what is happening is that we have members of both NDC and NPP, leaders of both NDC and NPP, canvassing for vote, doing door-to-door and mopping up. Some of them have been engaging party people internally because once in a while there are these issues that could get one party to have problem with marshalling the numbers relative to showing up at the voting centers or the polling stations. So the NDC, for instance, talks about the fact that after the race, 2 of the aspirants lost. Their supporters were aggrieved. What the party has now done is to make amends and reconcile those factions and then send them out there to convince others to join the campaign. The NPP has pitched camp in a community called Wenchi. Wenchi is a stronghold of the NPP, and it is leaving no stone unturned to ensure that everybody comes to vote. I've been engaging individuals from the NPP, specifically Henry Korte, who is the immediate past interior minister. He has a concern about what he calls lapses in security arrangement in NPP strongholds, specifically in Wenchi. He says since he came in the morning, he's gone to the community, he scouted the community and realized that if you compare to Aquatia, which has high security presence, Wenchi is different. So he's calling on the IGP to do the needful and deploy his men and women to that particular community as well. I've equally been engaging Kennedy Osenyako, the Member of Parliament for Achim Swedru, who is the leader of the Eastern Region Caucus in Parliament, who is very confident of victory. And then, of course, I spoke to a Protozo, a Member of Parliament for Suhum, who is quite cautiously optimistic. So that's on the side of the NPP. When you come to the side of the NDC, the allegations that have been made that the security setup is skewed in favor of the NDC has been refuted clearly by Joseph Yamin, the national organizer for the NDC. Again, you are aware that the Peace Council called for a meeting today. The NPP, through its national organizer and many other supporting leaders, showed up. When they went there, they were met by constituency leadership of the NDC at the said meeting. That did not go down well with the NPP, who decided to boycott the said engagement because, according to Nana B, the invitation came to national executives. So on what basis was the NDC deploying the constituency executive? I spoke to Mustafa Gbande, Deputy General Secretary, who says the invitation came to the constituency leadership. Reason why the constituency leadership honored the invitation. he, as Deputy General Secretary, did not cite any invitation that came to the national leadership of the party. Regardless, what's the difference between national leadership and constituency leadership? And to him, peace cannot be procured at the table. Peace is something that must be inherent, and that's exactly what will happen tomorrow. And that's why the policemen are at hand to ensure that there is peace. Again, we all heard the former Asin Central MP and then the MPP flag bearer aspirant Kennedy Japon, who charged members of the NPP to defend themselves, who threatened that if the NDC misbehave, the MPP is equally well equipped to respond in equal measure. Well, the national organizer for the NDC, Joseph Yamin, says that is just hot air that's been blown, and that nothing, absolutely nothing will go wrong tomorrow. Again, yesterday, and of course days after, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia had a word or two to share about tomorrow's exercise, and he talked about the fact that the NDC hounded the late MP to his death, so the constituents must equally consider that in voting. Well, Elikem Kotoko thinks that that is reckless comment coming from Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And so I'll link you to all these individuals that we've spoken to and in the run-up to tomorrow. And I can tell you that the constituency is charged for tomorrow, and right from the morning till the blast of the whistle, we'll be bringing you those coverages. And I'm talking about the voting exercise from the blast of the whistle till the declaration. But before the declaration by the EC, stay with us. You'll get to know who has emerged victorious here in Aquatia for this by-election. Coming to you from the Aquatia constituency, where the two political parties, as I've always said, are dotting the I's and crossing the T's. We are in Wenti, and we are told Wenti is the strongest of the hosts of the NPP. I have a member of parliament for a constituency which is a neighbor to the Aquatia constituency, Honorable Kennedy Osenyaku. Honorable, I know you've been canvassing for vote, traversing the constituency. How has the feedback been like?
Well, thank you very much. I think you've observed it yourself, you've seen it yourself. You could see the enthusiasm and the momentum. Today is the last campaign day, so everybody is trying to get his message across, and that is exactly what we have been doing since morning. So it's not anything different from what we know when it comes to final campaign rallies and all those things. This time around, it's not a big rally like we used to know. I mean, it's a group cluster of meetings that we're meeting. I've been here since morning. I came to Ghana this morning. Yes, with United Airlines, I got here around 9:05. I didn't go home. I just sent my bag, they pick it, and I drove here straight because this is my region. I'm the caucus chair. It is my responsibility to deliver this seat, the Aquatia seat. It's a traditional seat for the MPP.
Are you going to deliver it?
Well, I am confident. Even though there have been some kind of false reportage out there that the NDC is in the lead and all those things, we have taken it calmly. We are working on the ground, and we are confident that we are going to retain this seat. It is going to be the biggest legacy that the Eastern Regional Party is going to leave. We are going to lead to just raise the morale of our party, and we are going to use Aquatia as a third case. I know the NDC will come strongly, but a seat that we won with 2,000 margin, I'm not sure we are going to sit down to just give the seat away. We'll do everything possible to make sure we retain the seat.
They talk about development, and that NDC, being a party in power, is the only party that can give the people of Aquatia development. What do you say to that?
Politics doesn't work that way. Then there were several MPs, even in the previous administration, my own party, that could not see development. It is not so. Anybody who tells you that because his government is in power, he will be able to bring all it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. It depends on how you are able to lobby to get things done. So it is not as easy as somebody will come and put that because MPP is not. I'm in opposition. my government is not in power. But any time that we are not in power, I get more development in my constituency than even in government. So it depends on how you know people, you have links and connections. Asumadu is somebody people know. He has been around, they know him. He's like a philanthropist. The people know him. His name, Asumadu, is a local name. Everybody is a household name. So it is not going to be difficult for people that Asumadu has dealt with in the business level to come to support. He himself is a developer. He has been developing, he has been supporting the constituency. So I don't believe in that kind of, because your government is not, you will not get development. It is completely fallacy. It depends on how you are able to, work your way out to get development. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's Member of Parliament for Akimoda, Kennedy Osei Nyako, and also you heard it. You heard Kennedy Dapon, and then you also heard from the NPP's candidate for the Aquatia by-election, Solomon Asumadu. Now, I have Honorable Asiedu Queen here with me, popularly known as Protozo, a Member of Parliament for Suhum. He was in Parliament with the late NSC Alkumi until his unfortunate demise. He's equally been in the constituency for some time now, canvassing for vote. Honorable, how is the mood here as far as Tuesday is concerned?
The mood is very encouraging, and all that I am advising the members of the new Patriotic Party, and for that matter, the good people of Aquatia, is that it is not over until it is over. So we are going to continue to canvass for votes until the last person votes, until the last ballot is counted and declared in favor of the candidate for the new Patriotic Party, because it will be in the interest of the good people of Aquatia to vote for Solomon Yao Asumadu, indeed, so that endless commits will rest.
What makes you so confident of victory?
I've been on the ground. I am not complacent. Complacency is not part of my vocabulary. So I am confident, though extremely confident. We are going to work hard to enter homes, to enter kitchens, bedroom to bedroom, bathroom to bathroom, market to market, ghetto to ghetto, farm to farm, to ensure that members from this constituency come out to vote. And the more people come out to vote, and we are highly optimistic that the new Patriotic Party's candidate for Tuesday's by-election will triumph.
Thank you very much, Honorable Asiedu King, popularly known as Protozwa, coming to you live from Wenchi.
Well, in Aquatia here, we were promised some 5,000 police officers to be deployed on duty. And I am aware, I was told, proud to come in here, that some strong police presence was felt about some 5-6 days ago. But on my way to Aquatia, I think yesterday, I don't know whether they are yet to, so I won't play the blame game now. But as you see Aquatia here, everywhere you pass, there is strong security presence, and that is good for the by-elections, taking cognizance of some false alarm that may have been created, and panic, fear and panic. But then you turn right to Wenchi, and believe me, the 10 minutes drive all the way to Wenchi Township, there isn't one police officer, one, there isn't. Now, it presupposes that Aquatia is a stronghold of the NDC. It presupposes that Wenchi is a stronghold of the MPP. So are we not, or rather is MPP not entitled to also enjoy the strong security presence in Wenchi? Once that is done, technically it balances everything. It doesn't create some anxiety amongst politicians. then we can allow the voters to exercise their franchise as expected of them. And by the grace of God, when the people speak, they have spoken. And every political party is expected to embrace it and move on. After all, we have a country to build.
Because yesterday I engaged his colleague on the other side, Deputy General Secretary. I engaged his colleague on the other side. Specifically, I'm talking about the national organizer for the NDC, Nana B, who mentions and related to what happened at the 1-week celebration of the late Ernest Kumi. He mentioned that whatever happened was a protest against a killer sign, and you know the killer sign of the national chairman of your party that was made at the ceremony. Was that what happened?
No. I think that as a true reflection of who they are, they have never been honest, and they find excuses for everything. At the funeral, Nana B, the General Secretary, the regional chairman, they came to apologize to us. So if their reaction was justified, why did they apologize? Number two, it just shows how uncultured the tradition of the MPP is. That even in funerals, you continue to misbehave. We came to Aquatia for election. We were on the field when the national chairman instructed that we go for that funeral. So we're not, so to speak, dressed in black. But we needed to make up to the representation. We went there, sat down, and then subsequently the national chairman indicated that he was on his way. So we went out, received him. When the national chairman was entering, then they started to misbehave. Number one, what was the issue that you are sitting in a funeral, somebody is coming to visit you, then you are misbehaving? And number two, how can a woman, a lady, cultured, trained properly for that purpose, throw her hand at men? It just shows lack of a proper upbringing, so to speak. You won't find any lady in the NDC do that. And Nanabi is endorsing this rubbish and this level of unculturedness. We have taken it in good faith as part of the challenges that we encounter to win the seat. The most important thing is that we are here to win. We are not here to do MPP's bid. We are not here to please them. We are not here to sit and be negotiating for their excuses for defeat. Let them complain to the roofs. We would win the election and have lawyer Bediako declared tomorrow. We are in power. We will not abuse power, but we wisely utilize the power we have to our political advantage. And that is why we've been here. Nanabi came to this constituency just on Friday. His general secretary came here on Friday night for vigil. We have been here for 3 weeks. Do they think the political dividends will be the same? You don't go and impose a substandard candidate who have influenced you with money, tiring the other candidates within your party behind their hands behind their back, and thinking that you compare that candidate to our democratically elected candidate who have gone through an internal election. You can't compare. Number two, Bawumia was here as a former vice president. He could not tout any single achievement on which the people should vote for them. He was rather finding an excuse, an unpardonable excuse of a lazy politician, that because there have been a court case, that is why Ernest Kumi died. Bawumia was in Ghana when Judicial was being persecuted. Bawumia was in Ghana when Atuforsen was being persecuted. And so you see, when you give MPP 10% of what they unleash on others, they feel that heaven has come to the end. The most important thing is that tomorrow, this election will be peaceful. It has to be peaceful. I hear they are making noise that we didn't attend Peace Council meeting.
Why? The invitation was extended to national leadership. Why were you not there?
Peace Council invited the constituency. They did not route any invitation to the national secretariat of the party. Even if they did, that invitation didn't come to us. And so because the constituency was invited, we asked them to go and listen. Only for the constituency to get there, then they said, oh, they were not interested in the constituency but national executives. But you didn't invite us. In any case, why would the MPP, Nanabi, feel that he is special more than other people? How educated is he? Nanabi is a lawyer. The candidate who is contesting comes from this constituency. He's a lawyer. How important does he feel that because constituency executives have come, they are so big that they won't sit in a peace council meeting? For us, we didn't go because we were not aware. We would have gone there. The last thing is that peace is not negotiated in rooms. Peace is allowing the right things to be done. They have gone to mobilize some retired old police officers in the name of their allied police. What are they coming to do? You don't use these things to frighten us. It's called cartoon policing. We are here as men, and we are going to police the election tomorrow like never before. And if they want to abuse the rules, we'll force them to play within the rules. That is what we are here to do.
All right. Thank you very much. Efo Alanyo is Member of Parliament for Hohoi. Yes. So let's engage. Yes, let's engage briefly. The Deputy CEO, the Deputy CEO for the Forestry Commission, Elikem Kotoko. Yes, you live on GHOne TV. How has it been your observation so far? You've made some rounds. How is the ground looking like?
Thank you. First and foremost, I'm assuring you that the NDC is winning. And I'm having the audacity to also tell you we are winning by 52.3% or above. Nothing below that. The NDC is fully prepared. The people of Aquatia are aware of the good works of John Mahama and the NDC. And they would definitely want to join the winning wagon. I felt so sad that unfortunately, we had a vice president who yesterday was as reckless and as well as he was so irresponsible to have mentioned that he felt NDC's pressure was responsible for the death of our brother. This is at the time when the family are mourning, the wife or the widow, the family, etc. And you have a former vice president be this reckless, irresponsible, and insensitive to the plight of the family. It means that the people cannot do anything rather than just wash him away completely. And one funny thing I saw is that I have witnessed a lot of posters in town with the NPP candidate with the picture of the deceased. I don't know if he wants to tell them he wants to be the next to die or what exactly he's communicating. I am not yet aware.
He wants to succeed him.
But if you want to succeed somebody, why post his dead picture? I mean, this is somebody who is dead, and have a message that communicates that you are in support of his legacy and you want to. But to put his picture there, are you his brother? Are you his relation? It just doesn't make sense at all. I think
he's playing an emotional card.
He's playing a very strong emotional card. That is the same thing the vice president intended doing, but ended up being very reckless, very irresponsible, and if you pardon my language, a very useless speech by a vice president, a former vice president. It is unpardonable, unacceptable, and considering the fact that this is just one constituency, these elections must be devoid of such comments. The former vice president does not mean to say that he has gotten wing of an autopsy report or has gotten a professional medical person to tell him of the cause of death. And if that be the case, what did they not take President Mahama through? When President Mahama won the elections, they took him to court for more than 12 months. So how come President Mahama didn't pass? Then he has the fortitude to be able to withstand all of that. And so whichever way you look at it, the MPP has failed at all times. And what have they done to these people in these past years anyways? Aquatia has been a pale shadow of itself.
Unpacking says you are being greedy. You have a overwhelming number of seats in Parliament, overwhelming majority, two-thirds majority. Just as they pulled out of Tamale Central, you could have done the same.
Don't forget, we also pulled out of Ejisu. So what they have done at Tamale Central is not a favor they have done to us. They probably are even returning the favor we did to them by not going to Ejisu. So let that be put on record. And number two, everybody knows that any attempt to go to Tamale Central is a foregone conclusion. And they have nothing to fight for. We know that we were even contesting, or we were contesting these very elections. And it tells you the gravitas we come along with. And it is not as though the NDC has never won this seat before. We have. But can you say same of Tamale Central? No. So they cannot be comparing apples with oranges. It's just because the NPP has a failed leadership. If you recall, when we were in Ablekuma North, a few days to the elections, they announced that they were not going to participate in the elections. Then their own candidate that won the primaries on their ticket announced that she was going to contest regardless. And they all joined in. So these are leaderships that can sheepishly even follow their followers rather than the other way around. And so we are not surprised at what they are doing. They are panicking because President Mahama has already over-delivered in less than a year in office. And they have no message to campaign on. To use the dead body, to use a dead person, and be so insensitive to the family. That is very unfortunate.
Thank you very much. Elikem Kotoko, Deputy CEO for the Forestry Commission. Ekua Yamin, I'll put this question to you because yesterday I spoke to your colleague on the other side, Anabi, who said you were improperly dressed for the 1 week celebration of NSC Kumi, and together with a killer sign done by your national chairman, that's why the women and the other mourners were protesting. Why were you improperly dressed for Yakumi's 1 week celebration?
Well, Ibrahim, I was surprised when I heard the news in the first place. We didn't come to Aquatia because of a funeral. We came here to campaign to win an election. So I wasn't dressed for a funeral. I wasn't prepared to go for a funeral. But I was called to fill the gap when the national chairman was very far from attending. So in order not for the NDC to be missed out of the event, and knowing how close myself and some few others were asked to come in. So was Nanabi interested in the NDC representing or interested in the dress code that we were coming with? So I was surprised. We came in there. In any case, it's a 1 week. It's not the main funeral. So please tell Nanabi that we are here to win an election. We used one stone to kill two birds. That is attending the funeral and also going back to campaign on the ground to win the election.
One other thing he raised is you seeking to bring in some tags in the name of police personnel who will be masked. And that if we condemned what happened at Ayawaso, West Wogon, and many other times under the NPP, where individuals identified as security personnel were masked, then if you do same, they will be regarded as tags and treated as such. What do you say to that?
So my brother Nanabi is admitting that they put uniform on civilians, masked them to come and do what they did in Ayawaso. This is clear admittance. And for the first time, we have an MPP executive admitting that they did such a thing. We are not interested. See, I've told you that the MPP is not a force that we will have to intimidate to win an election. We didn't intimidate them before we won 2024. They were in power. It's about strategy. I have been in this constituency the very day, unfortunately, the man was announced dead. I've been here. I've been going out. I've been avoiding your calls. Yes. Because I don't want to be talking to you. Yes. The more I speak to you, the more people get to know what we are doing. But the reality will give birth to victory tomorrow. That is where you get to know that the people are on the ground working. So it's not about talking. It's not about sitting down planning. When we didn't have security as a government, we won election. Why should we use security to bulldoze our way? We have put in measures in place. Our executives are here. They are going to make sure. So what always goes to the favor of, and that is why we have some advantage in especially a 50-50 contest, like Ascend North, and Aquatia is going to be part of it.
Galamsey at the point.
That's right. The 50-50 is that is the only election taking place. And so my organizer from the OT region is here. He's going to be a pooling agent and make sure that the right things are done. Unlike general elections where you may not have all the confidence or you may not have all the human resource to man the polling stations where some people can manipulate the figures in that polling station. Two, there will be more numbers as observers than even the voters. And so they will prevent anybody coming in to do any, untoward things. And so the right things are going to be done. And when any election that we conduct in this country, where rules are followed, right things are done, there's no way an MPP can win an election in this country.
Well, that makes you very confident. I spoke to Michael Ochilbefi, who says he's so confident that if your party wins tomorrow's election, he will resign as a member of parliament. That must be somebody who's very confident. What makes you equally that confident that you are winning tomorrow?
See, some confidence just comes out as a result of the environment you find yourself. The man is not speaking from the ground. Ochilbefi is not on the ground. I've not met him anywhere here. I mean, we've been going around. We've not seen any MPP. Unlike other places, other by-elections where you see MPP vans moving here and there. No, I've not seen them. We have been on the ground. So what Ochilbefi has said means that there's a looming by-election ahead. I hope he doesn't come back like some of his colleagues who, one of their communicators said he was going to pour petrol and burn himself. And where is he? The man is still alive. Ochilbefi should prepare to resign immediately that the announcement is made tomorrow. We are not saying we are overly confident. In an election, if you are strategic, you will know that. And that's why I don't normally place all my hopes on the polls. The current poll suggests that NDC is winning with 53%. I see a 55% because I am on the ground. The pollsters comes in to interview people. I have interviewed the very people who are voting. And I see that the NDC is ahead of 55%. But in election, the day of election, even an hour to the close of polls, the dynamics can change. And so you can't be so confident going into the election until the results are declared. But what it stands now, the kind of work that we have done, the force we've put in, the message we've churned across, I don't see how the MPP candidate will be able to defeat the NDC candidate. So as it stands now, I am confident that the NDC will carry the day tomorrow. If all things go well, and I'm sure it's going to go well because the police has given us all the assurance, and you can see their presence all over. Some people are saying that they are being intimidated. Why are you saying you are being intimidated? The police has not harassed anybody. They are yet to perform their duty tomorrow. And so Nanabi is saying that Ayawaso is going to repeat. Ayawaso, we never envisaged that there will be such a group to come in and perpetuate the actions they did on the day. So for you to say that we condemn Ayawaso and we are trying to, I don't understand. Secondly, I heard them making.
So that's Joseph Yamin ending that streak of interviews, and this is just a little of what we are offering you tomorrow right here on GHOne Television, also live on our affiliate news channels and stations across the country. So tomorrow at 7 a.m, polls open and Aquatia, over 52,000 people expected to cast their ballots to choose a leader in the 9th Parliament. And trust us, here at GHOne Television will be on the grounds, bringing you live coverage and proper analysis here in the studio as well. But that's how the curtains on the special edition of State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. Have a wonderful night.